Welcome to the Magnetic Presence Podcast, the show for personal brands who are done letting weak delivery cost you clients, sales, authority, opportunity, influence, and impact. Of course, I'm your host, Joey Freddie Larson, and today's episode is the most impactful episode that I've ever released, the most important episode you've listened to so far. Why, you ask, Joey? Great question. Why? Because I wrote you a love letter. Aw, Joey, I love love. That's right. I have written a love letter to you, your business, your message, and the version of you that is done playing small. So let's get into it. But before you listen to another word, I need you to understand something. This is not just another marketing podcast. This isn't just another collection of copywriting tricks or webinar hacks or AI prompts or internet growth tactics. This is a love letter to you. Love letter to your business, a love letter to your message, and a love letter to the future version of you that already knows that you are capable of more. How much more? Much more. And yeah, this is going to give you some tough love. That's right. You're going to get the love today. Some of it might be tough because your work deserves better than hesitant delivery. And your message, that deserves more than half-embodied communication. You got to stop half-assing shit. Some of you are third-assing and quarter-assing. We need full-assed communication because your audience deserves to experience the full power of what you carry. And frankly, if I may be frank, instead of being Joey, I'm going to be frank. You deserve to stop shrinking every time that the camera turns on. Every time you start a sales call, every time you open a webinar, every time your microphone goes live, or the room looks back at you waiting for leadership. Because you already know that you have another level available, your next level. You can feel it. And sometimes you see glimpses of it. You know, sometimes it shows up in private conversations, maybe with friends, family, or one-on-one with clients, where suddenly you feel fully alive. You know, you're clear, you're funny, you're grounded, you're bebopping and scatting, you're powerful, you're magnetic. But then the camera comes on and your webinar starts or your sales moment arrives, and then, oh no, the pressure hits. Suddenly your body tightens, your breathing changes. You breathe all shallow and your shoulders rise up, you tense up, your voice starts speeding up. You got to talk too fast because you got to get through it. And what if you're keeping them too long? And what happens is your energy collapses inward and your message loses force. You start editing in real time, thinking about the words. Oh, was that a stupid thing? Did I say that right? What are they thinking of me? Did they think that was dumb? And what you do is you start managing the perception of your audience instead of leading your audience. And then you start trying to sound smart. You know, I got to sound smart instead of focusing on making people feel and making them feel something true. Truth with a capital T. And then deep down somewhere, you start quietly thinking, gosh, why am I not showing up like I know I can? So this love letter that I wrote you, this love letter is written to help you answer that question, and more importantly, to help you radically change how you're showing up in your business and in your life. And here's my promise to you. Your expertise is not the problem. Your delivery is your bottleneck. Because you already know that you're good at what you do. And that is not the issue. You've got the knowledge, you got the expertise, you got the training, you got the education, you have the insight, you have your method, you have all your stories. You've got the receipts for your greatness. You got something worth saying. You got to be saying it from a mountaintop. Let's go. But the problem is that your audience may not be experiencing the full power of your work whenever you show up live or on camera, on sales calls, on podcasts, on workshops, webinars, launches, or when you pitch your offers. And if your audience is not experiencing the full power of your work, well, your audience can't respond to the full power of your work. What does that mean? It means you're getting fewer DMs, fewer clients, fewer sales, fewer opportunities, fewer people saying, I need to work with you. Get out of my head. Take my credit card. Where do I sign up? I need to work with you. You know, fewer people feeling the urgency of your message. Fewer people moving from just passive interest, kind of, sort of, maybe, to decisive action. And it's not because you're not capable. It's because there is a gap between what you know and what people feel when you communicate that gap. And that gap right here, it is costing you. But the good news, see, I'm not going to give you bad news without some good news. The good news is by the end of this love letter, you will know exactly how to close that gap. That's right. This love letter, this podcast episode is going to show you exactly how to command attention, create trust, and convert your audiences into buyers, clients, sales, opportunities, bookings, influence, and impact by transforming how you actually show up. How you show up live on camera, in person, and in all the moments that matter the most for you and your business. So this is for you if you're a personal brand, you're a coach, you're a consultant, speaker, creator, educator, expert, founder, you're an online business owner, service provider, workshop leader, podcast host, or anyone who relies on public attention to create opportunity. So if your business grows, whenever people hear you speak, they watch you teach, they experience your pressure, your presence, they feel your conviction, they trust your leadership, and they just decide, oh, I need to work with this person. Then this work in this podcast is not optional. This is foundational. This is a mandatory listing, required learning for you. And I want to tell you, this is not about becoming louder or slicker or more polished, It's not about being more performative. And it's definitely not about being more internet marketery. Is that a word? Internet marketery? I think that's a word. What this is, it's about being more fully, powerfully, clearly, and magnetically and authentically yourself in the moments where your business is either won or lost. Because here's the uncomfortable truth, everybody. You may not have a lead problem. You may not have a content problem. You may not have a copy problem. You may not have a branding problem. You may not have a funnel problem. You may not have a webinar problem. You may not have a tech problem. You may have a delivery problem. And what's happening, if your delivery is leaking trust, authority, energy, specificity, emotion, certainty, conviction, every strategy that you add on top of that, all of it's going to underperform. And that is the presence gap. It is the gap between how powerful your work actually is and how powerfully your audience experiences it when you show up. And let me tell you, it is time to close that gap. And how do you close it? You close it through live repetition, through real-time correction and coaching, through embodied communication training, and personalized feedback and coaching on the actual moments that matter in your business. Things like your webinar opening, your sales calls, your podcast interviews, your short form video hooks, your offer pitch, your origin story, your workshop close, all of your stage talks, your live streams, your social content. It's your ability to lead a room, to make your message land. And it's your ability to move people in action without sounding fake, without being pushy or desperate. Oh, please, please, please. Or performative. It's none of that. So that's the work. And when this work helps you create even just one additional client, it's going to pay for itself. And imagine when it helps you create one additional client per month, then all of a sudden the ROI becomes real huge. And then think about how, when you make these changes, how you're going to show up in the next 5 years, 10 years, or for the rest of your life. Then the return on investment for this work is ridiculous. Why? Because you don't just use your presence once. You use it everywhere. Every single call, every camera, every stage, every offer, every room, every opportunity, every single time that your business depends on another human being to feel you enough to trust, take that next step to work with you. So if this already feels like uncomfortably accurate, like, Joey, get out of my head. You're describing my life and business right now. My invitation to you is to join the priority list for Magnetic Performance Mastery. You're going to get first access to the future enrollments. You're going to get access to workshops, behind the scenes training, and upcoming opportunities before the public gets access to those. All you got to do to join that priority list is go to www.joeyfreddy.com. joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist. I'll hook up the link in the description as well, but you can go right now to joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist and you can hop on that priority list. Because the real problem for many of you is you keep trying to solve the problem the wrong way. You keep fixing the outside of your business while the human being delivering your message stays undertrained. And what do I mean by that? You keep trying to fix the outside of things. You think that you need a better AI prompt, a better brand shoot, better colors, font, slides, hooks, emails, better copy, better scripts, better funnels, better ads, better tech, a better launch strategy, better lead magnets, better content calendars, better sales pages, better Canva templates, better podcast tips, better thumbnails, better chatty G prompts, better webinar templates. And yes, some of those things do matter. And incrementally that you'll have improvements when you improve those. But none of them can compensate for your weak delivery. Why? Because at some point, your audience, they have to experience you. Not your font, not your Canva template, not your lighting, not your Google Docs, not your AI generated script, not your carousels, not your funnel map. You, the human being doing all of the work, your voice, your pace, your breath, your eyes, the windows to the beautiful soul of yours, your silence, your state, your nervous system, your certainty, your timing, your conviction, your ability to hold attention, your ability to make your point land, and your ability to move someone from passive interest into massive action. Because your audience hears your voice. They hear whether your tone sounds grounded or if you're rushed. Oh my God, I gotta get through this. Your audience hears whether your words feel embodied or it's just something that you try to memorize and you're trying to remember the words. Your audience hears whether your certainty sounds clean or whether it's all just a performance and it's not really true. And remember, your audience, they are seeing your face. They see all your little micro hesitations. They see when your eyes disconnect. You start looking away or you give them that 1,000-yard stare. They see when your body collapses when you get to that offer and when you say your price. Your audience sees whether you look like someone who trusts themselves. In the audience, they feel your energy. They feel whether you're fully there. They feel whether you believe your own message enough to lead them. You say that again. Your audience feels whether you believe in your own message enough to lead them with it. They sense your certainty and they feel your hesitations. They notice when you're over explaining, whether you're, and they feel whether your message actually lives inside your body or if you're just reciting something that you've been rehearsing. You got to feel it. They feel whether you're leading or whether you're seeking approval. And let me tell you, your audience, they may not consciously say it that way, but their body knows. And that body level response, it actually shapes when someone keeps watching, when they lean in, when they click, when they hop into the DMs, when they book the call, they join your program, they buy your product, they join that workshop, when they refer you to a friend, when they invite you to a big event, or they just quietly move on. And that's where a lot of smart personal brands get stuck. I know you're good at what you do. Some of you are incredible at what you do, but your results, they just don't match the quality of your work. And when your delivery does not communicate the full value of what you know. So you're under signaling, over explaining, rushing, softening. A lot of you are hiding. Don't look at me. I don't want to be fully seen. Some of you are performing confidence instead of just embodying your authority. You're trying to sound polished instead of being present. But what did Yoda say about trying? Do or do not. There is no try. Oh, I love me some Yoda. You're trying to prove instead of lead. And your market, your audience, they can feel it. What did Nike say? They never said just try it. Just try it. Just dip your toe in it. Just dabble. No, they said just do it. like Shia LaBeouf. Do it. And the invisible leak, it's costing you clients. It's costing you sales. It's costing you trust. So the presence gap, again, it is the gap between how powerful your work is and how powerful it lands. It's the gap between how much you know and how clearly people feel it. It's the gap between how much you care, and I know you care, versus how much people experience that caring. It's the difference in the gap between how good and incredible your offer is and how strongly people want it. See, Luna's getting fired up. Luna, come here. Hey, come on, buddy. Come on. Back to your bed. Luna, come on. Right now. Right now. Well, we can edit this out. Or not. Let's keep it in. Luna, go to your bed, please. She gets fired up. Yes. The presence gap is the difference between how much authority you have versus how much you have that you actually signal. Luna, go to your bed. Go on. Right now. Enough. I'm podcasting. The presence gap is how compelling you are in private versus how compelling you actually are in public and on camera. How much impact you're capable of versus how much impact you're actually creating. And that gap, let me tell you, it's expensive. It's costing you leads, sales, clients, referrals, stages, podcasts, invitations, partner opportunities, speaking opportunities, authority, confidence, momentum, income, impact, all of those things that you want. And most importantly, it's costing you time and energy. And guess what? You never get that time and energy back. And the brutal part, this is the brutal part about this. It's an invisible gap. And you probably don't know how much it's costing you because all of these losses are invisible. Ooh, ouch. That sting a bit? Why is it invisible? Simple. You never get an invoice that says, lost client due to unclear offer delivery, $3,000. You don't ever get a notification that says, 3 qualified prospect watched your webinar and did not buy because your closing energy dropped. You don't ever get an alert that says potential speaking invitation disappeared because your podcast interview sounded scattered. You don't ever get a report that says something like, your audience trusted your information, but they did not feel you enough to take action. They didn't feel your conviction. What happens? The reality is just the opportunity quietly, bye-bye, just disappears. Someone watches, they don't DM. They register, they don't show up. They attend, they don't buy. They listen, they don't act. Someone compliments, but they don't convert into a sale. They say, this was so helpful. But helpful doesn't pay your bills, and it also doesn't change their life if they don't take the next step. So then they vanish. And then once you see this gap, it's going to become impossible for you to ignore it, which is why I'm giving you the love, baby. I'm showing it to you today. Most people never realize the gap exists. So that is your presence gap. And the good news I'm going to tell you is it's not a personality flaw, and it's not your fault. Chances are you just never been shown this gap before today, but Joey loves you, and I gave you this love letter, so that's why we're here today. The presence gap isn't proof that you're not good enough. It's not proof that your message is weak or that your offer doesn't matter to the world. Here's what it means. It just means that your human delivery system, you behind the message, just needs some more training. I want to share some client proof. One of my recent clients, Heather Schmidt, she's a real estate agent. She's a speaker. This is how she described her experience before working with me. She said, I would rush, I would make last minute changes up until I was about to start speaking, but then I would wind up reading a script and being really dependent on note cards. And then what happened? People didn't download my freebie. She couldn't even give away a freebie. She had 0 engagement. And then she says, on my end, I felt like shit for days. I don't want you to feel like shit. I don't want you to blow those opportunities. But after training with me inside my program, Magnetic Performance Mastery, Heather said, now when I'm fully prepared, I'm fully present. I don't panic. I don't panic to fill the space and fill the silence anymore. And she said, I have now been asked to be a recurring monthly speaker at an event series. So again, to be first notified and to join the priority list for the next round of Magnetic Performance Mastery, go to joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist and add your name to that priority list. because you already know that something is off when you show up. You know this. You don't even really need me to say this to you. The moments you feel, but you rarely say out loud, and you rarely share this with other people, because you're not lazy, you're not stupid, you're not untalented, you're not lacking brilliant ideas. You're probably doing a ton. In fact, you're probably doing too much. And that's a podcast for a whole other time. One of my mentors and coaches, friends, James Wedmore, says, the less I do, the more I make. Do less, make more. Again, podcast for another time. But what am I saying when you're doing too much? Well, listen to what you're doing. You're posting, you're showing up on Zoom, you're writing all kinds of emails, you're planning your workshops, you're recording your reels, you're joining masterminds, you're buying all kinds of courses, you're taking incredible notes, you're downloading these incredible resources, you're asking ChatGPT for those amazing hooks, then you're studying your competitors, you're tweaking your landing pages, you're reworking your bio. Again, you're changing your offer name. Again, you're editing your slides. Again. And then you're watching another webinar about webinars. How many webinars about webinars are you going to watch? You're trying to make the words better. But again, Yoda, do or do not. Yes. Deep down, you know the uncomfortable truth. You know what I'm saying. The words are not your whole problem. The way you show up with those words is the problem. And I know you feel this. You feel it after a webinar when you close the Zoom. You sit back in the chair, then you check the chat, you check your inbox, you check Stripe, and you think, should have got better results. That should have landed harder. And you feel it when someone writes, this was so helpful. And then you smile politely looking at the screen thinking, cool, are you going to buy, bitch? Whoa, language, Joey. Family show. Simmer down. Because here's what you know deep down that encouragement is not the same as movement. You know that people saving your post doesn't automatically turn them into clients. And you know that polite applause, the golf claps, don't become income. And you know that getting attention without people trusting you, that leaves your Stripe notifications silent. Oh no. You feel it when you watch back a video and you think, God, why do I sound smaller in the video than I do in real life? And you really feel it when someone with way less expertise than you, they're getting more traction and more attention, because attention in audiences responds to stronger delivery. And you feel it, you get to the offer and just suddenly your voice changes and your body tightens up and your pace speeds up and start talking real fast, and you start explaining modules instead of leading them to the transformation. Fun fact, nobody gives a shit about modules. Hooray! I want more modules, said nobody ever. People don't care about modules. You feel this when your content is technically good, but it's emotionally forgettable. People don't remember you. And you feel it knowing that your message, it's smart and intelligent, but it's just not moving people, not moving them into action. And I know you feel this, that you're meant for bigger rooms, but your current delivery, it's just not matching the size of your vision. You have this incredible vision and this incredible mission. You have these incredible conversations privately, but then you turn on the camera and just suddenly you sound like some boring version of yourself, some alter ego from an alternate universe. And I know you feel this. You record the same reel 17 times. One version sounds too stiff. One version sounds too fake. And another version sounds too low energy. And another version makes your smile look too forced. Another version makes you sound unsure. And then another version makes you physically cringe and you want to tear your own skin off. And what do? Eventually, you just post the least uncomfortable version rather than the most powerful version. And you throw your phone on the couch, frustrated, and then you try not to think about who from your past might watch it. No, what will Karen from college think? Hint, Who cares what Karen from college thinks, or your uncle or your aunt or your neighbor? Who cares? The only thing that matters is, does the person that you're there to help, what do they think? What do they care? Are you impacting them? And I know you feel this. You finish a podcast episode where you were being interviewed and you're just replaying your answers over and over and over in your head while you're brushing your teeth later, thinking, what the heck did I even say? And you feel it knowing that your offer is incredible. What you do is incredible. But your body, when you get to the pitch, just feels like danger, 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 pitch, pitch, sales, sales, danger, danger, you know? And you feel it when you say, oh, no pressure, even though what they need is decision leadership. A little bit of that leadership and decision pressure is exactly what creates movement and action in people when it's delivered and shared ethically. You know, you're softening sentences that you know should be stronger, but just part of you is still a little hesitant and afraid to just fully own the room. Own it, baby. Own it. You know, you feel it when you're prepping for a sales call, but silently you're just hoping, praying to God that the prospect is already pre-sold. So they just come in and be like, well, where do I sign? Take my credit card, so that you don't actually have to lead a sales conversation. Or worse, you secretly hope that they don't even show up. Why? So you don't have to face another rejection. And I know you feel this. You explain yourself for 8 minutes and then you think, God damn, I could have explained this in 45 seconds if you just trusted yourself. When you're secretly annoyed that people who got weaker ideas, they got less experience and way less nuance and expertise than you, they're making way more money than you. Why? Because they can communicate with more certainty. And you're feeling this. You know your content, it's technically good, but again, it's just emotionally forgettable. And it's frustrating the crap out of you. And I know it's costly. And here's the deal. There's a ton of language that you're using that is quietly weakening your authority. And small little words create big leaks. Small words create big leaks. You're softening very strong statements with weak language. You know, you're using phrases like, hey, I just wanted to hop on and I kind of think, maybe this will help. Hopefully this makes sense. Well, I'm not an expert, but this might be useful. I don't know if this is for everyone, but I'll try to not take too much of your time. Sorry, I'm I'm rambling again. Oh, Chatty Cathy. Does that make sense? 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 Yes, it makes sense. I could be wrong, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, this is probably obvious, but I'll be quick. No pressure at all. This is just my opinion, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. You can totally ignore this if it doesn't resonate with you. I hope that was helpful. See, every one of those phrases, it has a cost, and it's not because one of those phrases alone destroys your sale. But what happens is those patterns create a perception. And when you keep communicating like your message is optional, your audience is going to start to treat it as optional. When you're apologizing for taking up space, your audience is going to start to feel that uncertainty in you. And when you just keep asking, does it make sense? Does that make sense? Your audience starts wondering, does it make sense? Am I crazy? Am I stupid? Is she stupid? Does this make sense? Does any of this make sense? When you keep saying no pressure, your audience hears this decision does not matter right now. And when you keep saying, I'll be quick, you imply that your own message, your own work is an interruption rather than a necessity that's going to change their friggin' life. And when you keep saying, I'm not an expert, but you force your audience to actually question, well, why should I even listen and trust this person anyways? See, what you're doing is you're accidentally training your audience to not trust the full weight of your authority. And again, nobody's ever going to call this out except for me, because Joey loves you. And this is a love letter. And I'm giving you the truth, tough love with a capital T. Nobody's going to ever email you and say, hey, I was going to join your program, but then you kept hedging and your offer started to feel less valuable. So I didn't. No one's ever going to send you a DM that says, I almost booked a call, but your close felt apologetic. And it actually made me question whether you even believed in your work. No one's ever going to leave a comment on social that says, your point was strong, but your delivery actually diluted it by 40%. So you know what they do? They just leave. They just ghost you. They wait, they think about it. Maybe they save the post and say, oh, I'll come back to this later. But then what do? They just go watch someone else, and then they buy from someone who actually communicates with more certainty. They leave you and then they go work with someone else. That's the invisible cost of your weak delivery. Now, what does your audience see, hear, and actually feel? Because your message, it must land visually, audibly, and physically. Because your audience is not just processing things through logic, just through one channel in the brain. Your audience is experiencing you through multiple channels. Probably heard of NLP, neuro linguistic programming. So they're processing everything all at once. So visually, you're seeing my posture, my eyes, my face, my gestures, my stillness, my tension, my confidence, my hesitation, your relationship to the camera, your relationship to the room, whether you look grounded or whether you look scattered and you're all flustered, whether you actually appear present or you're mentally 2 steps behind or mentally 2 steps ahead. Wow, he's just kind of checked out. Hello, is anybody there? Anybody home? Then audibly, they're hearing your pace, your pitch, your pauses, your breath, your rhythms, your certainty, your vocal tension, your rushed endings, your softened endings, your trailing off, your nervous laughter, your filler words, ums, ahs, buts, likes, literally, kinda, sorta, maybe. And they're hearing your ability to let a sentence land. And then on top of that, physically and emotionally, your audience is feeling whether or not you're grounded, whether you actually believe in yourself, whether you're leading them or you're seeking approval. Do you like me? Do you think I'm smart? Is my stuff good? And they're feeling whether your message actually feels alive. Do you light up? Do you light them up? They're feeling whether your conviction actually creates movement, whether your nervous system calms them. Wow, I feel so calm around this person. Or it activates doubt and worry and concern and anxiety. And that's exactly why better words are not enough. You can have the perfect sentence and still deliver it with the wrong signal. You can actually have an irresistible offer and you can still make it feel uncomfortable. Oh, why is she so uncomfortable? And you can have the best Hollywood story about your life and you can still rush past the real emotional turn. You can have a direct CTA, the best call to action ever, and you still make it feel optional? You can have the fanciest slides in the world with the fanciest Canva templates, and you still lose the room because your message doesn't just have to be understood logically. It's got to be seen, heard, and felt. That is magnetic performance mastery. I want to share some client proof here. Elise Vesmar, she's a nurse and she runs an online program that helps women with chronic fatigue. She actually helps them overcome their chronic fatigue syndrome. She was describing what happened during one of her webinars before she worked with me inside Magnetic Presence Mastery. And this is what she said. She said, I had someone on the webinar who was very engaged in the chat. But then when it came to time to talk about the price and to give the actual pitch, I just completely lost all my confidence. I kind of swallowed the pitch as it was coming out. I muffled the price. And then she left and shocker, she didn't buy. But then after working together inside Magnetic Performance Mastery, Elise says, you know what? Now I definitely have the tools to regulate my own nervous system before I get on camera. And before MPM, I was scared and unsure, but now I'm rock solid. I'm confident that I can deliver and get those sales. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about my origin story. I've shared a little bit of this. If you know me personally, you might know some of this. But here's why I know delivery changes everything. Because I didn't learn this from a marketing template. I didn't just read all this stuff in a PDF about confidence. I learned it through 17 years of live performance as an actor, as a stand-up comedian in TV, film, theater, voiceover, commercials, plus 10 years as a sales manager in a financial services company, plus 10 years coaching other actors on how to stand out in their own auditions and book their own lead roles. And I've run my own online business, and now I'm coaching other business owners and personal brands doing this. So I know this work through acting, through comedy, through live rooms, through auditions, through sales, through coaching. And I've watched what happens when a human being has 30 seconds or 3 minutes or 30 minutes or 90 minutes to actually make a room feel something. I've been there and I've seen a million other people do it. And when you're performing, when you're on stage in front of a room, the room tells the truth, and not always politely, just instantly. You can feel when attention sharpens. Everyone leans in, or you can hear an audible gasp in the room. And you can also feel when the attention drifts. You can feel when a joke lands, boom, they erupt. And you can feel when something just dies, just crickets, and you hear, you can feel when a room is actually waiting for you to lead, when they trust you. Sometimes you can feel and hear your own nerves even louder than your own words and message. And you can feel when you're pushing a little bit, when you're trying too hard. And you can also feel when you're kind of hiding and not really wanting to be seen. Hello? And you can feel when you're trying to be liked. Again, Yoda. Stop trying and just do. And you can feel when you're actually in command, when you're just, boom, baby, I am in charge, large and in charge. This room is magnetic. I'm magnetic, larger than life, just owning it, And so after decades of studying performance, studying acting, comedy, audience interaction, storytelling, sales, coaching actors and business owners, learning live communication skills, I keep seeing this pattern over and over and over again. Yes, your words matter, but guess what? The human being delivering those words matters more, way more. I've seen two actors perform the exact same scene before. They create completely different results. They have the same script, but completely different level of embodiment, different result. I've seen two speakers teach the exact same concept. One enthralls the room, everyone's leaning in, hanging on every word, and the other, people are checking their phones, tuning out, wondering what's for lunch, chatting with their neighbors, falling asleep. Same idea, different delivery, different result. I've seen two entrepreneurs pitch the exact same offer. And one of them makes the investment feel so obvious and easy, like, take my money, I got to take the next step. I'm in. I've been in with you this whole time. Of course I want to go further with you. And the other makes it feel questionable. I don't think I should do this. Same exact structure in their offer, but different certainty levels, different results. I've seen people like you with brilliant work, brilliant knowledge, brilliant skills, brilliant abilities, but you underperform because your presence doesn't match your expertise. And I've seen people with just average, sometimes even mediocre ideas and offers. Sometimes they win. Not because their ideas are lesser, but because their delivery is incredible and they create trust faster. And that is frustrating. I know it's frustrating, but it's also the reality. So if you're a personal brand, this reality, it's actually affecting your income big time. Because your business, it's not just judged by what you know. Your success and your income isn't just merit-based. Oh, they know more. She makes more and has more clients. No, it's judged by how powerfully people actually experiencing you knowing it. And that realization, that's become the core premise of my entire body of work now. Everything I do on this podcast, everything I do in my programs with my clients. And here's the core premise. Strengthening your magnetic human presence and your delivery is the most effective way to increase and improve your business. I'm going to say that again. Strengthening your magnetic presence and your delivery is the most effective way to grow your business by far. And it's not because presence is cute or because confidence is nice. No, not because charisma feels good. No, it's because presence affects attention. And then attention affects trust. And then trust affects desire. Desire affects action. action affects sales, sales affects your revenue, revenue affects your freedom, and then your freedom affects your entire life, the life that you get to build and the impact and the legacy that you get to make. That is the causal chain. And most people, you're trying to optimize every single link in that chain except the human one. So now it's time to train the human one. You got to train you. And that's why we're here, baby. And let me tell you, the AI era makes this even more urgent, way more important right now in the AI era, because as content becomes infinite, human trust, that becomes premium. You see, AI didn't make your presence less important. It made your presence way more important, because what's happening is when everyone can generate content, content stops being the advantage. When everyone can write a polished caption, polish stops being your advantage. When everyone can generate 100 hooks, well, hooks are going to stop being the advantage. When everyone can just clickety-clack produce an incredible webinar outline, well, your outline of the webinar is going to stop being your advantage. So when everyone can create this incredible stuff, none of that is your advantage. Your advantage is becoming the human embodying this presence. Your advantage becomes things like your emotional congruence. Your advantage is whether people can actually feel a real human being. Oh my God, is she a real human being? Remember real human beings? Your advantage is it's going to become things like trust, how you make people feel when you deliver your message. And in an AI era, as all this information and all the world's knowledge is completely commoditized, I mean, everyone has access to it now. So what becomes premium? Trust, human trust. As this content is infinite, it's your emotional resonance. That's what's becoming scarce. As scripts become easier to create, then its actual embodiment, that becomes expensive, rare. Because everyone's going to sound polished, every email looks, oh, it's perfect, right? But humanity then, actually being a human being, that's going to be the thing that becomes memorable now. So that is why your human magnetic presence this isn't a soft skill. Stop thinking that presence is a soft skill. Maybe there was a day where it was, but I don't think so. Your presence, it is a business asset, and it's your number one business asset by far. It is your moat protecting your business castle, baby. Keep those enemies out of that business castle. It's your moat. Why? Because it can't be copied by a prompt. It can't be downloaded from a template. It can't be outsourced to a robot. Beep, boop, beep. You're not a robot. You make people feel. You make people think, man, I trust you. Wow, I remember you. Ooh, I want to hear more from you. Oh, I want to be in your world. I need to be in your world. I need your help. Take my credit card. Get it out of my head. How do I work for you? Where's the link? Let's do this. I'm ready. That's your premium signal now. And as AI makes all this content easier to generate, your human presence is becoming way more valuable, not less valuable. And the sooner you start training that presence and your delivery, the bigger your advantage becomes now in an AI world. Don't wait till everyone has all this AI stuff. And then you got to be like, oh, crap. We all have this AI stuff. Now what? And then you got to go back and train the human. Start now. Get ahead of the game. I want to share some industry proof here. My business mentor, my coach, my friend, James Wedmore, is the creator of Business by Design, and he's the host of the Mind Your Business podcast. Super flattered. He said this about me. He said, Joey doesn't just entertain a room. He changes how people feel and how people show up. At Business by Design Live, he brought energy, clarity, and real momentum to the stage. People laughed and were moved into action. I got to speak at Business by Design last year in Phoenix. His big annual event was incredible in front of 1,000 business owners. And he says, Joey doesn't just entertain a room. He changes how people show up. Say that again. Ali Hassan, who's an author, he's a speaker, he's a CBC radio host in Canada. He says, Joey's energy on stage is both awe-inspiring and infectious. People feel that. He doesn't just consider his job done until the audience is having a great time. Thank you, James. Thank you, Ali. So again, to get early access to future MPM enrollments and training opportunities, you can hop on the priority list right now. Go to joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist and you can hop on that priority list. So again, I'm going to repeat the core premise. Strengthening your magnetic human presence and delivery is by far the most effective way to grow your business. It's the core premise of all my client work inside my program, inside Magnetic Performance Mastery. Your business grows when your audience trusts you enough to take action. And your audience trusts you faster when your presence communicates certainty, clarity, emotional truth, leadership. So your delivery is not just something extra. It's not just, a little spice, a little razzmatazz. It's not decoration. It's actually conversion infrastructure. Your presence affects whether people keep watching, whether they believe you, whether they understand your value, whether they're actually emotionally connected with you, whether they trust your authority, whether they remember you, whether they actually feel urgency. Holy shit, I got to do this now. And whether they want to be closer to your work, whether people buy, whether they refer you to their friends and family, whether they invite you into bigger opportunities. And most people, you're treating your presence just like it's some random personality trait. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that you either have it or you're not. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Wrong. Presence is trainable, my friend. Authority is trainable. Precision is trainable. Your offer, delivery, your pitch is trainable. Your incredible storytelling is trainable. Your ability to hold attention, your ability to regulate yourself, your ability to speak with embodied conviction, all of that is trainable. And your ability to close these sales without collapsing and shrinking, that's trainable. And your ability to be magnetic, it is something that you were born with. Everyone was born magnetic, but then we put these layers and we put these masks and doubts and fears and societal norms and all this stuff on top of us. But your ability to be magnetic without being fake is trainable. And let me tell you, once you train it, it goes with you everywhere. And that's why this work, it compounds anywhere from 10x to 100x, maybe even more. Why? Because you don't just become magnetic in one random webinar. No, you become magnetic in your entire business. So I'm going to share the 4 pillars of magnetic performance mastery. Pillar the first, command attention. Your audience, the audience can't buy from you if they're not truly with you. Your attention, the attention that you get from your audience, that's your first sale. Before someone buys your program, books a call, joins your workshop, sends a DM, they got to give you attention. And I'm not talking about passive attention, like where they got where they're scrolling and they got a bunch of tabs open. I'm talking active attention, zoned in. They're on every word. They're with you. They're focused. Not that half-assed stuff. So stop half listening. When you have that real presence, they're not multitasking. They're not half listening. They're not scrolling, checking emails. They're not treating your content and your message just like it's something in the background noise. I'm talking the kind of attention, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to be loud. So if I be loud, then people will look at me. I'm not talking about that. It's creating presence. Command it's a felt sense. And it's not asking for permission. It's leading, it's commanding. And command, it shows up everywhere. How you begin, how you hold silence, how you use your eyes. Again, those beautiful windows to the soul. How you pace your words. How you choose your first sentence intentionally. How you stop apologizing for being there. How you let a point land. How you stop having to fill every pause. And how you speak like your message, like it actually matters. And without command, your audience, they may hear you in the background, but they don't fully lock in. And you become very easy to ignore. There's so much noise. Just so much going on. Million tabs, million things happening. So you don't want to be background noise. You don't want to be another tab open in the browser. And that's exactly what magnetic performance mastery does. We train you to open stronger, to hold attention longer, Stop drifting in the moments where your leadership is required. Pillar 2, you got to create trust. And trust, it's not just built by credentials, it's actually built by congruence and coherence. Your words matches your body, your body matches your feeling, your voice matches, everything is aligned, coherent, congruent. And your audience they're constantly scanning. Do I believe this person? Do I feel safe with this person? Does this person understand me? Does this person seem grounded? Does this person even believe what they're saying? And most importantly, can this person lead me somewhere? Can this person lead me to the promised land? Can this person lead me to the life that I desire? Help me hit my goals. And trust, again, it's built through what people see, hear, and feel. Yes, your words matter, but your nervous system, everything about you speaks before you do. Your pace, your breath, your eye contact. Are you looking people in the eyes? Your pauses, your certainty, your discomfort. Oh, do you look like you're not even comfortable in your own skin? Oh, God. Oh, wow. And your apologetic energy, all that speaks. And if your words say this works, but your delivery, it quietly betrays those words, and it seems like you're asking for approval, then your audience feels that disconnect. And magnetic performance mastery trains you how to communicate with more congruence so that your audience can trust you faster. Pillar 3. All right. Moving emotion is pillar 3. Move emotion. Information, yeah, you can make people understand. But emotion actually turns people into action. It moves people into action because your audience understands your message. If they understand your message, but they don't actually feel anything, then action stalls. They don't take the next step. That's why if someone's saying great content, often that doesn't convert into sales. They can learn something, but they don't move. They can just politely agree. Oh yes, I agree. But they don't move. They don't jump. They can just politely agree and not act. And that's why people could say, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then they don't do anything. You need to get emotions involved. You need to get emotional, get their emotions involved. And this is not manipulation. It's not hype. I'm not just here to hype you up. And it's not fake urgency. It's just movement. It's a felt shift, moving people from, I know this is probably important, to holy shit, I need to deal with this now. And how does that happen? It happens through specificity, through storytelling, through building tension, through building contrast, through providing emotional truth, through providing stakes and importance, through future pacing them, explaining this is what it's going to be like when you get there. Imagine how you're going to feel when you're bringing in those clients, when you're bringing in those sales, when you're doing all those things for your family and you're living that dream. It also comes from naming the real problem. You got to name the elephant in the room. Don't dance around stuff. Don't step on eggshells. Naming the real problem is love. I'm giving you love right here. I'm not dancing around it. I'm telling you exactly what's going on in your life and in your business right now because I love you and I want you to be better. And I want better things for you and your family. It's showing the cost of staying the same. You got to let your clients know, like, this is what's at stake, baby. And then you got to let them feel what's possible. Imagine the possibilities, activate their imagination. Oh my God, what is possible when you do this work? Magnetic performance mastery trains you to make your message not only clear, but felt. Because messages that are felt actually move people. I've been there. When I did that talk at Business by Design Live, 1,000 people, dozens of people came up and they said, man, you moved me, you inspired me. And because of your vision and conviction and your words and your story, I had the courage to invest tens of thousands of dollars into myself and in my business. And I never would have done that without you. That's the power of this work. Pillar 4, you got to convert with conviction. You see, selling, it's where so many personal brands, you leak the most power. Yeah, you teach well. You're an incredible teacher. And maybe you can even inspire and motivate people. You can connect well. Ooh, but then the offer starts, and then suddenly everything changes. Your voice starts speeding up, and your pitch goes a little higher, and your shoulders tighten, and your eyes start getting a little shifty, and then maybe your tone softens a little bit, and your confidence drops, and then you start explaining price like you're defending it. Well, it's this price, but oh, it's only this amount, or it's just this, but oh, look at all the value you get. Then you're starting to list features because you don't want to actually hold the emotional weight of the transformation. And again, oh, wow, look at all these modules and videos, said no one ever. No one cares about videos and modules and your features. They care what's in it for me, what's the transformation. You say things like, oh, well, no pressure. Why? Because you're uncomfortable with actually convincing desire and conveying transformation. You say, oh, well, it's, totally optional because you don't want to feel pushy. And then you start rushing through the close because you want to get to the end and you don't want to inconvenience them. And you're checking your watch. Well, maybe I kept you on the webinar a little too long. And you're also afraid of the silence after the offer. Drop the offer, drop the price, and sit in that silence, baby. But for you, it might feel unbearable. And all that's very expensive because why? Because your audience, they need your leadership. It is a decision point, a fork in the road. You do not need them to say yes. You just need them to make a decision. That's it. That's all selling is getting people to get off the fence. Why? Because nothing good happens on the fence. Get off the fucking fence, baby. Make a decision. I'd rather hear, I want a convicted no, yes, or convicted no. I don't want to, oh, maybe. Get off the fence. That's it. Leadership. People need a clean, grounded, confident invitation. It should just sound like an obvious invitation. I know you're feeling this, so here's the next step. Invite them to the party, baby. We're going to a transformation party, baby. Who's in? Hop on the transformation bus. Woo, woo, woo. Guess that's the transformation train. Woo, woo. All aboard. And that's exactly what we do inside Magnetic Performance Mastery. I train you how to deliver your offer with conviction so that your audience feels the value, the urgency, and it just feels like an easy, natural, simple next step to start working with you. Not some tense, anxious thing like, oh my God. It's just like, yeah, I want more of this, baby. Take me to the transformation party. Let's get on the transformation train. Woo, woo. And again, you need stronger embodiment. You need stronger delivery and live communication skills. Most personal brands don't need more information. Your offer will land harder when you land hard. I'm going to share a little more NPM client proof. Before training inside Magnetic Performance Mastery, one of my clients was saying, I completely lost all my confidence. I kind of swallowed the pitch as it was coming out. She left, shocker, didn't buy. And then after, this is Elise Vesmar again, she says, now I'm rock solid. I'm confident. I can deliver. I can get those sales in. And her work is incredible. She helps people regain their energy after years and years of chronic fatigue, life-changing stuff. So to train these skills inside a future round of Magnetic Performance Mastery, you can go to the priority list right now at joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist. I'll also link it in the description. Because here's why most communication training fails to create real change. You don't need more information. You need actually live embodied reps. And Magnetic Performance Mastery, it's not just another passive course. It's not just watch a bunch of videos, read a bunch of PDFs. You don't need another folder full of videos that you'll get to later. You don't need another PDF sitting in your Google Drive graveyard. You don't need more notes. What you actually need, you need to become a more powerful communicator. And that doesn't happen by just passively watching content in the dark by yourself. It happens through live reps, live feedback, live correction, live practice. It happens when someone is actually seeing the thing that you yourself cannot see because you're in it. You're too close to your own work. Someone outside you, like a director looking at an actor. Someone who could say, whoa, 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 stop rushing that. Or say that again, but say it like you mean it, baby. No, cut that first 40 seconds. Oh, that sentence, that is hiding. You buried the lead there. Bring that out. Let that land. You just buried your strongest point. Well, you kind of lost your authority when you got a little apologetic. Whoa, you're explaining instead of leading. You're teaching to avoid selling. You're performing confidence instead of just embodying conviction, baby. Or that story right there, it needs a sharper turn. It needs the high and then it needs the low. You know, your offer delivery right there, way too soft. You don't need more words, you need more presence. You're making the audience work too hard. You're rushing past the part that matters. You're rushing past the part that matters. And you're softening the exact sentence that should be the strongest. Trying to be liked. You need to lead right now. So all those coaching things, those are the words you need to hear. Live coaching, live feedback, live training, live reps in the moments that matter. That's the kind of real-time coaching and correction that actually changes how you show up. It's not just theory in your body, in your voice, in your pacing, in your decisions, in your actual business moments. So think of magnetic performance mastery as a live rehearsal container for the moments that actually matter in your business. So you bring the real things that you're doing. I work with clients on their webinar openings, their podcast stories, their offer pitches, their sales calls, their live stream intros, their short form video hooks, their workshop closes, their stage talk transitions, their origin story, their objection responses, their client invitations to work with them. And then we work on all those things live. Why? To strengthen you. We train you, we refine you, we make it you. And here's what changes after this work. After you work on your magnetic performance mastery, you actually become the person that your message has been waiting for. Before magnetic performance mastery, you might be getting webinar registrations, but weak conversions. You're getting compliments, but not clients. You're getting engagement, but not revenue. You're getting podcast spots. You're on podcasts, but you're not getting business from them. You're getting, I'll think about it, instead of, how do I join? Take my credit card. You're getting some visibility, but you're not getting authority. You're getting interest, but you're not getting urgency. So what's happening is you're creating all this motion and all this activity. It feels like something, but not conversion. So you're spending like 9 hours writing a webinar. You're spending 3 hours editing a slide deck, 2 hours scripting a reel, 90 minutes tweaking a caption, 45 minutes re-recording and re-recording one video. 30 minutes just overthinking one email subject line, and 10 minutes apologizing before you're going to make the offer. And then you're spending 6 months building an audience without making a sale, or maybe not even making an offer. You're spending $500 on new tech before training the human being that's underneath that tech. You're spending thousands on brand design and website design before training the person who's actually delivering your message. You're spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 on strategy, but you're not training the human being responsible for executing that strategy. So you're visible, but you're just not compelling enough to create buyers. You might be consistent, but you're not converting enough. Like you're showing up, but you're not converting. You might be super smart, but you're just not trusted fast enough. You're super clean and clear on paper, but you're not magnetic live. And internally, you're probably feeling overprepared, but you're underexpressed, you're self-conscious, you're just fucking frustrated, you're just tired. You're tired of trying so hard. And secretly, you're afraid you're going to waste your potential. And you're thinking, will this ever work? Because you know you're capable of more. But you keep waiting. You're waiting for some future version of yourself to finally show up. But you need to show up now. You think that more preparation is going to solve it. You think you need another script, another strategy, another AI tool, another course, another funnel, another rebound, another set of slides, another AI prompt, another content plan, another ideal client avatar positioning exercise. No, what you actually need is a new level of embodied performance. You need to train the human being delivering all your messages. And after magnetic performance mastery, the goal is that you show up differently in the moments that matter in your business. That is the transformation. So that your audience, they experience you as more grounded, more clear, more direct, more trustworthy, more emotionally alive. Gotta be alive, baby. Specific, more compelling, way more memorable, certain, generous. Selling is service. So the more you're selling, the more generous you are. That is a service. More authoritative, more human, and ultimately more magnetic. You're going to open talks with stronger command. You're going to stop wasting the first 5 minutes just kind of warming up. Hey guys, how you doing? Drop in the chat where you're from. Okay, just give me a few minutes here. Oh, hey there, Sally from Wisconsin. Stop over apologizing for taking up space. You're going to stop over explaining obvious things, and you're going to stop burying your sharpest points under 11 disclaimers. Stop rushing through your offers. Stop making your audience work so hard to understand why this matters. And what you're going to do is you're going to start creating moments where someone feels, oh, this is, oh, you understand exactly what I'm dealing with. Oh, I trust this person. Oh, man, I need this. Oh, I want to be in that room. Oh, I am ready. Take my credit card. That is where conversion happens. It's not from pressure. It's from resonance, congruence, coherence, trust, authority, clarity, emotional movement, and timing. So internally, after this work inside Magnetic Performance Mastery, you're going to become more regulated, more decisive, more expressive, more honest, more trusting of your own voice, more willing to hold silence. I'll sit here in the silence all day with you. More willing to be seen and show up, be visible everywhere, online, real life, willing to lead, willing to make more offers to more people, willing to actually let your work matter. And most importantly, willing to stop shrinking. Time is done. To stop. You're done stopping playing small. You're going to stop trying to become someone else. Finally, you listen to Yoda. Yes. You're going to stop performing a fake version of confidence. You're going to stop hiding behind all this new information. You're going to stop hoping that your slides do all the heavy lifting. Hint, people don't buy your slides, they buy you. So stop outsourcing your authority to your frameworks and actually become the person in the room who can hold attention, who creates trust, delivers that message, moves people into action. And not because you're some slick performer. Look at me, I'm so slick. No, you're just more embodied. You're more precise, more present, more fully yourself. So here's the true cost of staying where you are, because you're already paying way too much for this problem. And let me tell you, your biggest cost is not the investment into Magnetic Performance Mastery. It's not the tuition to work with me. The biggest cost is continuing to underperform in moments where you're already spending time. You're spending time, money, energy, and attention. You're already doing the work. You're already showing up. You're already creating all this content. You're hosting calls. You're giving talks. You're making these pitches. You're doing the launches. You're selling. You're trying to be seen. So the question is not, do I have time for this? Or do I have money for this? Question, how much more time and money am I willing to spend showing up without getting the results I know I deserve and I know I'm capable of? See, when you host one webinar per month, let's do some examples here. Imagination. When you host one webinar per month and your presence improves and that conversion improves by even one additional client, what's that going to mean for you? And then when this work helps you add just one more client per month over 12 months, what is that worth to you? Well, I'll tell you. If your programs or your clients are worth $500 to you, that's $6,000 over a year. If your clients are worth $1,000, that's $12,000 over the year. At $2,000 per client, $24,000 in a year. At 5,000 per client, that's 60 grand. If your clients and products and services are worth 10,000, that's $120,000 you're leaving on the table. And that's only by adding one more client a month. This isn't some kind of fantasy. This isn't, oh my God, I went viral and Oprah had me on. No, this isn't manifest $1 million by Tuesday. We're talking one more client per month. Why? Because you show up more powerfully in the moments where you're already showing up. Now, let's have some fun. Let's stretch that out over 5 years. A $500 client over 5 years, one per month, that's 30 grand. If your clients are $1,000, 5 years, 60 grand. $2,000 clients, that's $120,000 over 5 years. $5,000 clients, $300,000 you're leaving on the table 5 years from now. $10,000, $600,000. So just imagine what happens over the lifetime of your business. You have one stronger webinar, one cleaner close, one more compelling stage talk, one podcast appearance that actually creates inbound leads to you. You start doing sales calls where your authority no longer collapses when you make the offer. You make that one piece of content that finally lands hard enough where people are just in the DMs asking to work with you before you even make the offer. That's where the long-term ROI becomes almost absurd. This becomes ridiculous. And this isn't even including things like you're getting better speaker opportunities, you're getting stronger referrals, you're getting a higher perceived value and higher ticket so you can raise your prices. You're getting cleaner, smoother sales calls where you're having to spend less time convincing people. You're getting better retention where people are staying with you and renewing, working with you over and over again. The lifetime value of clients skyrockets. You're creating stronger content. You have stronger launches. Your confidence is through the fucking roof. Your aligned opportunities are coming out of nowhere for you. Like it just feels like magic. You have greater audience trust and goodwill. You're building better business partnerships. You have stronger and better clients. The people you're working with are incredible. And you're wasting way less of your time, way less emotional drain. That is the ROI of working inside Magnetic Performance Mastery. It's not just 10x. For some people I work with over time, it could be 100x or more. Why? Simple. You take your presence everywhere. Every call, every stage you're on, every video you make, every pitch, every room, every offer, every conversation, every piece of content that you ever make ever, every opportunity that you ever have from this day on. It is about strengthening the human being, delivering every single message in your business. That is why Magnetic Performance Mastery is not just about content. It's not just about speaking, webinar, or sales. Because when you actually upgrade the human being behind everything in your business, every expression of your business upgrades with you. A little more industry proof. Brad Bizjack, he's the creator of Rewired, is his program. He's an incredible coach and trainer. He's also the host of the Path to Mindset Mastery podcast. He says, Joey has an extraordinary ability to help people step into the lead role of their lives. Beyond the incredible motivation you feel in his presence, he awakens something far deeper. Joey helps you recognize your potential with clarity and conviction, breathing life into parts of you that may have been overlooked, doubted, or set aside. You're going to lead more confident, more aligned, ready to lead life with new purpose and intention. Joey's a force of nature in all the best ways. If you have the ability to work with him in any capacity, I highly recommend it. Thank you, Brad Bizjack. You're the best. Thank you for those words. Now, to get priority access to the future enrollment, again, you can go to joeyfreddylarson.com/founder, hop on the priority list. You're going to get first access to upcoming trainings, to new workshops, and you're going to hear about when the spots open up before the general public. So go to joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist. So real quick, I'm going to explain what Magnetic Performance Mastery actually is. It's an immersive live training and coaching experience for personal brands, coaches, speakers, creators, consultants, educators, experts, anyone who wants their message to land with more trust, more authority, more emotional impact, and way more conversion. And again, it's not another passive course just about content strategy. It's a live rehearsal and communication training container. We focus on real results, real moments that grow your business, your webinars, your sales calls, your podcasts, your workshops, your live streams, your speaking, your content, your offer delivery, your client conversations, all of your visibility and how you're showing up. And inside MPM, we actually work on strengthening the human being delivering your message. Your presence, your delivery, your communication, your ability to hold attention, create trust, ability to move people into action. Why? Because your business, it doesn't just grow from what you know. It's not all about what's in here. It actually grows by how powerfully people experience you knowing it. So who's it for? It's for people who already know that you are capable of more. You know your expertise has outgrown your current expression. This is for people who are tired of sounding smaller on camera than you do in real life. You're tired of over-explaining instead of leading. You're tired of giving attention, but you're not getting the conversion and the sales. You're getting all kinds of compliments, but you don't have the clients. And then you're hiding behind information and frameworks instead of actually embodying your work. And then you feel your authority collapse during your offers, and you're shrinking in the moments that matter the most. This is for personal brands who know my results should be bigger than this. And it isn't because your work is weak or your work isn't powerful or your offers aren't amazing. It's just because your delivery is undertrained. So your transformation, the goal of this work is not just to turn you into a slick performer. No, it's just to help you become more fully expressed, more grounded, more precise, more trusted, more magnetic in the moments where your business is won or lost. And after this, you're going to communicate stronger authority, cleaner messaging, more emotional connection, more trust, more conviction, more specificity, more grounded confidence, and more visible leadership. And you're going to stop trying, you're going to stop sounding like someone trying to prove themselves. And you're just going to show up and sound like someone that people trust. And when that shift happens, chef's kiss, baby. Your audience is going to feel it. All your content lands harder, your offers land harder, your webinars, your sales calls, your message. Why? Because you land harder. So here's my final invitation. If this love letter to you, and this is really what it was, love with some tough love, if this love letter felt uncomfortably accurate, well, it's probably because some part of you, you already know that there is another level, baby. There's another level available to you. And you don't need to become someone else. You just need to remove all the interference that's preventing you from becoming who the fuck you really are between your expertise and how powerfully people actually experience you. And that is the work inside Magnetic Performance Mastery. So to be notified the next time we open the doors, which is coming real soon, you can hop on that priority list. Go to joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist, joeyfreddylarson.com/waitlist, because here's what I know. Your message deserves to land at full power. This life isn't a dress rehearsal. You got one shot, one opportunity, mom spaghetti, to get your work out there and to make an impact. You're not coming back for another do-over. Well, I kind of hedged my bets and didn't do it right the first time, and we'll see if the second time goes well. No, this is it. So what you waiting for, baby? Let's get to work. All right. Love, Joey Freddy Larson. There's your love letter. All right. See you in the next episode.